Hello everybody. I've got all the buttons clicked, so we should be up and running. I'm just going to give it a moment to make sure I can see myself over in my viewer so that I know that we are all good to go. If you're here, you can always pop me a little chat in the comment box and let me know that you can hear me and see me. All right, I see me over in the software, so that's looking good. Is that Alice here? Hello, Alice. All right, I am going to set up my window with our picker wheel for that portion of the event today. So welcome. My name is Misty and this is my channel Crafty Soup. If you're brand new here, I have to give you this disclaimer that you will not be able to leave any comments over there unless you've been a subscriber for 20 minutes, and I have that set in place just because I am the only person moderating the chat, so I try to keep the trolls out, and that time limit seems to be a good one. So if you are brand new and you would like to chat, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and if you don't want to stay subscribed, you can always unsubscribe after the stream is all done. No big deal. And that way you can chat with us. So that is the little bit of business out of the way. What are we doing tonight? We are doing my monthly mystery box make series, and that is where I have a picker wheel all set up to spin the wheel to select 3 items. I have a big box of mystery items. I have a package of mystery paper. I know it's all Simple Stories, but I don't know what paper from the Simple Stories line. And then I have a bag of 12 by 12 mystery stencils. So those are the 3 items on our picker wheel, and we'll spin 3 times, select 3 different things from those categories, and then make a project. You never know what it's gonna be. I've done cards, I've done a little bit of art stuff, I have done lots of scrapbook pages, so that's generally what we're looking at. So with that part of business checked off the list, let me go ahead and pull up the picker window. Do I have it all? Nope, that's my desk. Video capture. I promise I had it in here. If I close that. Nope, then now there's 2 of me. Exciting. Okay, it is not that one. Oh, there it is. I found it. All right. Yep, mysteries ahead. That is true. That is true. All right, we've got our picker window up, so I'm going to go ahead and give this our first spin. Maybe. There we go. And we wait to see what is revealed. Big box, looks like, is going to be our first item. I know I did skew this item list because in the beginning I had more items in the big box than I had of other things. But my big box is starting to get empty, so I might need to reskew this picker wheel as my box gets close to the bottom. All right, so first one out of the big box. And you will see me pull these things out of their packages as we go. I'm going to spin for all of them first. Okay, a second big box. That has typically been embossing folders, dies, things along those lines. So that's what I'm expecting. Oh, wrong screen. I can see my mouse in 2 places. I gotta make sure I'm clicking it in the right place. All right, third item coming out of our mystery supplies tonight. We're gonna get a stencil. Oh, we get to play with a stencil. I was playing with stencils earlier today, so I have some supplies still sitting nearby. All right, let's shut off that picker window and come back here. Let me pull out, I've got my packages here. If I switch to desk view, there we go. Now we can see both. I did last week separate out my stencils with cardstock without looking at them because they were getting stuck together. We ended up with 2 stencils last time because they were stuck. So I've solved that problem for this time. So we're going to need one of these stencils and one item. Can you hear it shake? There's a few things left in there. All right, we're going to get 2 items out of this box. Since it's on top, let's go ahead and start here. I try not to peek. I try not to let my sense of touch decide for me. And these envelopes are die sets, and all of these mystery supplies have come from Simon Says Stamp, so that is where I've gotten my bundles from. So we have some balloon dies. All right, something to celebrate. We'll have to see. Second item, I think it's a single item. Something, nope, it's 2 things. They're slipping apart. I'm gonna grab the one on top. It's very plasticky wrapping. Feels like it could be cardstock or something. Oh, we have some sentiment labels. Okay, these look like they are printed with toner, which we can foil with. I can probably heat up my hot foil machine. It's not a hot foil machine, it's the laminating type foiler. So I believe that's what these are. I can set that up. Okay, we're done with the box. And we'll be able to, if the foiling doesn't work out, at least we can still use the sentiment. So I'm not too worried about that. And then from our stencil pack, we have this one right here. And I'm going to take out the cardstock as well, because otherwise we'll have an empty section. Ooh, look at that, my friends. Wow, that is a cool stencil. A nice big heart as a focal point. And then, let's see, I'm going to take this extra cardstock divider out so that the pack is ready to go for next time. All right, and we could always use red cardstock, possibly. All right, so here are our 3 mystery items. If you give me just a moment, I'm going to go ahead and plug in the laminating machine, and that way we can at least play with this and see if we can get it to work. And what sentiments do we have on here? We have Mom, so that could be good because we just had Mother's Day around here. It said, sorry you had to raise the others. That is hilarious. Your mom believable. Let's see, you da bomb. No, you da mom. Okay, these are some cheeky little sentiments. So those will be fun. Okay, I'm gonna grab that foiling machine. I have just a cheapy Amazon, it's not a foiling machine, it's a laminating machine. And when you use laser printing, because it is a plastic based ink, it will heat and melt and then stick to the foiling that you add to it. So that is how laser foiling works. Let me get this plugged in. My kiddo was messing with the lights and rearranged. Oh, there we go. That's one I can unplug. She rearranged my plugs, so I have to figure out what to plug in. All right. And oh, I grabbed the wrong box. So along with the laser printing, we're going to need foil, but this is hot foil. I need to grab the other foil. There. Ta-da! Other foil. Okay, so this is Deco Foil, and this is a very popular brand for using with adhesives and with lamination, or the laser printing. So this is what I've got color-wise to work with. Now, to decide on project. Do I do a scrapbook layout? Do I do a card? Let's think about this. This focal point is rather large for a card, although I did a half letter size card recently, which I don't do, so that was kind of interesting. But I'm feeling like that's too large. So I'm going to grab my story binder. And for those of you who are new here, a story binder is just a binder full of printed photos and notes of stories I want to tell. So that's nothing complicated. And I'm going to make sure I skip some of these because there's some medical photos in here that people may not want to see. And let's see what stories I have to tell. So I have a story about a theater. I used to do costuming for children's theater. So that could go well with the heart. And let's see, from your offspring, forgive me, I'm trying to think about these sentiments in terms of being a theater mom and how I want to tell this story. So that's what I'm thinking about as I mumble to myself. It's okay that I'm your favorite. Oh my gosh, these sentiments are cracking me up. Do I have a picture of my, oh no, she was not in this show. She was behind the scenes for this show. Let me see. Let me keep looking. Ooh, I've got some lovely photos of autumn leaves, but I don't know that that goes with the sentiments. Sparkly syrup. Okay. My daughter often will make me breakfast for special occasions, and we had won this package of waffle and pancake making supplies, which included syrup that actually has glitter in it that you can eat. And so we had ourselves some, I don't know if that's coming through on the video, but I can see the sparkle in person. Let's tell a story of sparkly syrup, and then I can talk about how my kiddo likes to make me breakfast for special occasions. And we just had Mother's Day recently, so I definitely had some Mother's Day treats and things like that. So, okay, so picking some colors for this, thinking about the balloons as sentiments. And that goes well with the celebratory. Oh, that's interesting. It is just the outline of balloons. We're gonna have to get a little creative with that, I think. That surprises me. Okay, this is where you see what live crafting is all about. It could be that something fell out and maybe they're hiding in the box, but this is what we pulled, so this is what we have to work with. And I think if I get out a circle punch and punch some circles to overlay with this, I think I can make it work. And what I'm going to do is use vellum. I'll use vellum to be the backer so that it's not as noticeable that things don't line up properly. So let me grab that. Luckily, I keep scraps of things right by my feet, so I have materials to work with an idea that pops into my brain. Okay, so here is my scraps of vellum. That is a very opaque vellum. Here, I'll just pull out a couple things and we'll shove that back in my messy bin. Okay, in terms of colors, I'm wondering what I want to do. I'm pretty sure I want to use a nice rich purple. In fact, I have a lovely color called Plumberry from Concord and Ninth, so I want to work with that. I think I want to add in some yellow because we've got the golden colors from the syrup. How yellow do I want to go? Because this leans, it's got a little bit of orangey brown tone in there. Okay. Alice, since you're here, I'm going to pick Alice's favorite color. She and I once upon a time had a conversation about, is it this one? I think it's this one, this Stardust color from Concord and Ninth. And honestly, when it first came out, it looked kind of like baby poop. But I have learned that I like it used through stencils. So I'm going to pull that one out and we'll use that. And then I probably want a third color just to get a nice, a nice range of color. What am I thinking? Maybe just a soft neutral. Cobblestone. One of my favorite neutrals from Concord and Ninth is This is one of them, is Pebble. Mushroom is a little bit too dark, so I'm going to use Pebble also. So we'll just add some color. And I'm going to start on a white background because that's going to be easier for the colors to show up. And I just so happen to have white right here already because I was working with stencils earlier today. Now that we have now that we have a color palette, let's think about our foil. We've got green, we've got rainbow. This one is pretty purple. I don't think I want to do that. Do we want to just go kind of simple and use gold? I don't know that I have another color that I'm really loving to go with these. Okay, we're just going to keep it simple. Don't think too hard. That is one of the things I have learned through scrapbooking for so many years, is just make decisions, because you know what, it's only paper, and in the end you've got your memories captured, and that's really what matters. And just enjoy it as much as you can along the way and don't stress out about it. All right, so that is ready. Let me cut this photo apart and then we'll get our foiling going. All right, and let's open these up without damaging the surface, because if we scratch them, then it won't be able to melt and stick to our foil. Okay, I'm pretty sure, you know what? I think I just want to foil an entire panel, and then I can decide what I want to cut out of this panel, and I think that will be the easiest choice, especially with limited time here as a live. Speaking of limited time, what I didn't mention at the very beginning is that I try to keep these lives to about an hour. However, I do give myself an extra half an hour on top of that just in case. And lately I've been using that extra time, so I have definitely needed it. These are some of my partially used sheets. Definitely not enough on that one. I'm just going to start with a fresh brand new sheet because you don't need to watch me sort through all of the partially used pieces. I tend to be a little frugal with my foil because, I mean, it's not super expensive, but I hate throwing things away, so I want to make sure that I'm using up as much of this as I can before the rest of it goes in the trash. Okay, I am not going to clean in between. I'm just going to move along. Okay, cut this down to size. And then when you're using foiling with a laminator, you need a carrier sheet. So some laminators will come, especially if they're aimed at crafters, they will come with a carrying sheet. Because I just bought a laminator that's made for, you know, laminating schoolwork and stuff, I don't have an official carrier sheet. So I usually use parchment paper. However, let's see, this parchment paper is covered in glue because that's what I did with that one last time. Let's see. Is this one big enough? Almost. Let's see if we can make this one do. So I like to make sure everything is tucked inside the parchment so that none of this stuff melts into the laminator itself. And that is cutting it too close, I think. Let me try one more time. Nope, it's empty. I'm gonna grab fresh ones. I'll be back in a minute. Luckily, I just organized this batch of supplies, and so it was easy to find. Okay, so this is going to be probably a little bit too big to fit in my machine. So I'm going to just give it a trim on the edges. Make sure it will fit through my machine. Here, let's try this method. Sometimes I will use a craft knife. It's not my favorite tool, but much easier to wrangle than the scissors. And I'm working on a glass surface, so it's easy to go ahead and just cut through things on my glass surface. I absolutely love having this nice big glass mat. All right, we're gonna get that run through the laminator. As long as it's hot, let me make sure. Okay, we'll give that a second to go through while we start thinking about stenciling. Oh, I bumped you, sorry about that. All right, do I want to use the whole stencil or do I want to use just part of it? Now, if I put that photo over the heart, we're kind of losing the heart shape, so that is a little bit too big. So maybe I want to work my photo cluster around the heart. And definitely I'm gonna require some overlapping here. And this one has the bottle of syrup in it, so I definitely want to make sure we can see that. Okay, I think that'll be good. And you know what? I think I might use the heart as my spot for journaling, and that will be a good thing. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this entire form, and we'll work on that. In the meantime, this came through. Let me see if I did it all correctly. There's a few bubbles in there, which is one of the challenges of laminating. Let's see. Yeah, we got a few bubbles in there. Luckily, I have multiples of these if I don't like it, but I think I can cut apart and get a few good sentiments out of there. So we'll see how that goes. All right, in terms of stenciling, especially a nice big stencil, I have a really favorite tool. That is my chunky blending brushes from Pinkfresh Studio. These are technically called the 1-inch blending brushes, but these things are magical, and I've been collecting them over the last few months. I'll buy one package, which is 3 blending brushes at a time. Hello, Sarah. Welcome. I got a couple of friends here tonight. So yes, I love these brushes. They make ink blending really fast, especially when we're trying to cover a big surface. And then I'll grab a yellow one, and I'm going to give these just a little bit of a wipe down. I'm not going to worry too much about having pure color because I just don't want to think about it that hard, really. That's the real reason. But I do want to give them just a little bit of clean. So just a rag, a little bit of water, and a little bit of rubbing, and that will make my colors a little more true to what I'm looking for from my ink pads. And I think I do want to concentrate the lighter color, so I'm going to go with my neutral in this area since I do want to use that for my journaling. And then I will just kind of do a little bit of random ink blending around the rest of the image. So I believe all of these stencils are from the Crafters Workshop. So if you like these, you may be able to find them out there in the crafty world somewhere. Okay, I am going to start with the neutral. Let's do this one. So when I'm inking up a new color, I generally like to kind of help spread it around in the lid, because that just kind of makes sure you get a little more even coating on the bristles, especially since these are so big. Sarah's going to be here for a few minutes. Well, I am glad you popped in for a little bit. That was a big surprise. Thank you. It's nice to see you. And I was stenciling with Sarah earlier, so that is, ooh. See, Sarah had her tape going earlier, and I didn't. I was being brave and didn't pull out my tape, and getting a little lift from the blending brush. So I'm just gonna try and get my fingers in there and hold it down. Okay, I have tape. I can use tape. This one definitely has an organic edge to it that I want to catch, but if you don't want to hit a harsh line on most stencils, you do want to tape them down so that you can cover up edges. However, this one is totally organic and I want to get those edges, so I was trying to just go for it. And you know, I'm going to make my mistake look a little more purposeful by making more of an ombre gradient with my color. So it'll start off lighter and get softer as it heads up into the corner. And then to make this color make sense on the entire layout, I am going to let it exist on other places on the layout. Big stencils, the Crafters Workshop. Yes, I do like their stencils for sure. And I got this mystery bundle of stencils. One, because it was cheap, and two, because I like doing this crazy project that I do. But yes, they are good quality stencils and they have nice 12 by 12 sizes. Teeny bit of tape runner on the back. Yeah, that could work for sure. Let's see. Could have already got myself in the if I lift it up now, I'll never be able to get it back into meeting up its curves. Okay, I might want a little bit more of that brown in there, and this color is super juicy and super hot. You can see that color. So I'm gonna have to use a very light hand with this. I'm gonna start off very light and spread it around before I start giving it more pressure, because I want to make sure that color doesn't come in too hot. I want to overlap a little bit and then choose another area. I know you can't quite see that, but if I start working down here and start spreading that color around in other zones. Alice says she has a nice collection of 12 by 12s. Yeah, I didn't have a very good collection, so that was one of the other reasons why I wanted to get this mystery package, because I felt like that was one of the things my stash was lacking. And I'll be honest, like some of the stencils that I've gotten from the mystery bin, I haven't decided how I would use them, but we'll see. I'll keep them in my stash for a while and see how they come up later, because sometimes I think I won't use something very much and then it ends up being used quite a bit, so that can be a surprise. And ooh, I really like how I'm getting just a hint of some of this in here. And you can see, hopefully, that my ink is drying back so that my mistake earlier doesn't look as harsh as it did in the beginning. And that a lot of modern dye-based inks will dry back like that, so you don't have to worry too much about them. All right, here is Alice's favorite color, and we're going to use this, not too much of it, but we're going to get it in there. I'm going to put my tape back over where I've already done some inking so that I don't lose too much of, don't have it shift on me too much. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, I do want to be careful color theory wise. I do want to be careful of mixing yellows and purples because that can tend to lead to muddier colors, but I am using a soft tanny gray neutral on here anyway, so it's not going to be too bad as long as I try to be careful about my borders. Okay, Alice has some lovely emojis in the comment that go with this color. But I tell you, I like it using it for stenciling and ink blending. I haven't found it to be a great stamping ink for me, but I thought this was a color that I would hate, and I end up using it quite a bit more than I expected. So you never know what's gonna hit until you give it a try, which is why I like to kind of stay open-minded about things. And of course, I haven't always been that way. I used to be pretty nervous crafter. I would get worried about making decisions and being able to glue things down, but just kind of the process of practice and getting more confident with doing things has made it easier. All right, I am liking this already. I think the reveal is gonna be gorgeous. So what's nice about stencils is that you can use them over and over again and create your own pattern papers in whatever color palette you like. All right, my stencil just shifted on me, but that's okay because I think I'm done and we're ready for the reveal. So let's take a dramatic pause as I put things away. Oh, there and there and there. All right, let's do the reveal. Da, da, da. Oh my goodness. It is so pretty. You guys, look at that. It is so pretty. Okay, I don't want to clean this. However, I think I might use this back as a mask to put my stamping lines on here because I love my journaling stamp and it gives me lines, and Sarah will know, we talked about this earlier, if I don't have lines, my journaling just goes off into nowhere at crooked angles. So I might clean this and I'll be able to use that as a mask for my journaling stamp later. So luckily stencils are pretty easy to clean in terms of crafty messes. Just a spritz of water, and I tell you, these are magical. This is the Spellbinders Mighty Mister, and they have such a nice fine even mist that, you know, just 1 or 2 sprays is all you need and you're cleaned and good to go. So that will air dry before I'm ready for my journaling. And bring, oops, I keep hitting. I keep hitting. Yeah, it's not just you, Sarah. I am a very crooked writer if I don't have the lines. Let's see, I have issues with red. It always looks like blood. I have done a few projects where I'm like, let's use red. And after the fact, I'm like, oh no, not a good choice. All right, so there is a lot going on this layout. So I'm gonna want to map my photos with something to kind of give them some breathing room off of the background. And how was I doing my layout here? Okay, I tend to really like to use black mats. It turns into blat. I tend to like to use black as my mats because it's definitely a nice contrast against things. So let's see. I do happen to have some scraps of black sitting right here. So I think that's my very much a go-to for me. So if you're trying to create faster layouts, definitely keep those go-tos in mind and don't be afraid to go to them over and over again so that you can create faster and get more stories told. All right, so I am going to go ahead and get these down on here and unbury my tape runner. I've been using the my Sweet Petunia glue presses like 90% of the time, but this is just a little bit faster, so I'm pulling out my trusty tape runner. And the trimmer. Let's see how straight I actually, not too bad. Sometimes I can get straight lines. Okay. Just giving it a little mat, and then we'll see if I want to double mat it with another layer of something. You can think about that. We might be able to bring out the blending brushes again and create our own just solid color with the ink so that we have it definitely coordinate. That is a nice thing about DIY papers and things, is that you can make sure everything coordinates how you like it. And one more big one. Oh, I need to not forget about this. That is definitely the item that is throwing me off this time. All right, that. And I'm gonna need some scrap white paper so that I can ink it and create those circles to make some balloons to go in that funky die that did not come with balloons. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that next. I think these pieces are looking pretty good. Again, trying to figure out where I'm going with the layers. Okay, I think I might want maybe, I'm gonna let that stew in my brain a little bit to see if I want more pattern paper layers. I'm thinking that might make it too busy. And I was trying to mat to reduce the busyness, so don't want to be counterproductive there. And I am looking for white, which is the hardest color for me to pull out because it gets buried among everything else. Here we go. So if we bring these brushes back out, I'm going to see what ink is left on the brush and see if that's enough to do anything, and no, it is not. But this gives me an opportunity to go ahead and go in really deep with this color since it's going to be embellishments in a smaller dose. It means I can go a little bit richer with the color. And again, it'll start off darker and dry back lighter. Okay, ooh, that is some color. There we go. That's what I was wanting. And then I'm going to go ahead and do each color so that we have some choices here. So I do these mystery box makes once a month on Wednesdays, and I do them here at they start at 4 p.m. Pacific because that is the time zone that I am in that makes the most sense for my workday. And so I know it's kind of an awkward time for a lot of people on the West Coast especially, but you can never get the timing to work out perfectly for everybody. So I made it work for me, and then hopefully people can join me and have a couple of you tonight. Let's see. The die is just one big cluster. Yes, you probably missed that reveal. Let's see. Here is the packaging. And it looks like there should be some balloon shapes with the die, but this was the only piece that was in the envelope. So it could be that it fell out and it's still in my box somewhere. That is a possibility. Or it could be that this ended up in the mystery box because it was like this for some reason. Who knows? Most of the time the mystery items have been complete items, so this is a first and we're gonna make it work. Okay, let's get some of this pebble on there. I think I will mostly use the other colors, but let's get some of this just in case we want that. Okay. I think that's good there. So I am going to run this through my die cut machine with the vellum, and I do think I want to use the darker vellum because this is such a bold background that I'm going to need this to kind of mellow everything. So I will tape that down so it doesn't slide on me because my die cut machine is especially good at shifting while I'm die cutting, and then I've wasted my paper. Okay, so there we go. We've got this cut out so it has the strings for the balloons and then shapes to layer balloons, but we don't have any of those layers. So we are going to make some with some circle punches. I am a big fan of having multiple sizes of circle punches so that you can do lots of techniques. I mean, just punching out left circles out of leftover pattern paper and just keeping them until you have enough to scatter them on a background is a great way to use scraps. And so if you have either a die set or a punch set, that one is too big. I think that one is too big also. Okay, I think we're gonna go with these two sizes. So yeah, I like to use punches while I'm filming live because they're faster. So let's get a few of these out of the colors, and I will do a couple of each size in each color, and using some of the natural ombre from the ink blending can help our balloons have their own shadow when we get everything layered. So I am kind of thinking about that as I punch shapes out. Let's see. I think Alice is right. I think there's a stamp that goes with that. Oh, maybe it is a stamp. Ah, that could be it. Yeah. I didn't even think about that because I've had this box for about a year and a half, and I've gotten a lot of those die packs out of it. So I've just kind of come to expect that they were standalone die sets, but you're right. It could be that it was intended to go with a stamp set and not just be standalone. So that is one weirdness that happens with mystery boxes. I know my box was from a couple years ago. They usually come out in the fall, and somebody from this past fall, 2025, was complaining because they got dies that obviously went with stamp set but didn't get the stamp set, so the dies were basically useless. So that was kind of unfortunate. It's like, yes, a mystery box is a deal, but at least should be usable. So hopefully they don't do that again in the future. Okay, I need some of these out of yellow. And I'm cutting out way more than I need, but it's going to give me some options. And yeah, I don't think I want to use that neutral color in my balloons at all. So see, the sizing is going to work out okay to layer these up. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but if I get them layered up, you can see that it's going to be okay. See, we're making it work. Alice is off finding the stamp that goes with this set. Well, there you go. It's a Simon Says stamp brand, so it is the birthday balloons. You can look for birthday balloon stamp set from Simon Says. And there might be that product out there. All right, so I do have some littler shapes down here. So I am maybe going to pull out one more little circle punch and see what we can do. That one's too little. I don't really have much in between these sizes. I really think this one's going to be too little, but let's see what it looks like. Because this one is super tiny. It kind of layers on there though. Okay, I am going to pop some of these up with some foam adhesive. And let me start clearing some of this mess out of the way so that you can see things a little more clearly. Where do I set them so they don't make an avalanche is the question. Because live crafting is a little messy. Your solution is creative. Oh, nice. Thank you. Yes, I definitely play this game. This is the mystery box game for sure, and I just like it because it's silly. And so I have fun. And you know, I have not been stumped yet. There have been some times where I've gotten close to being stumped, but so far I've pulled it off. So if you give yourself permission to just do things that that are less than perfect, you can come up with some crazy things. All right, I am going to, oop, wrong. This one is my fine tip one, which I prefer. Oh, but it's empty. That's why I was using this one, because it's empty. And I haven't had a chance to refill it. I just have to be gentle with the trigger on the wide tipped one. Okay, I am gonna, for whatever balloons I have punched out that have obvious gradient to them, I am going to try and put that all to the right hand side so that we get, you know, a little bit of artful flair in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we can use the bits of knowledge that we have. Okay, what am I gonna do down here? I don't want to put those two colors right next to each other. I'm going to try and keep the contrasting colors next to each other so that we can see all the layers of balloons. And let's grab the foam adhesive. Is that too? Nope, that'll work. And also popping them up helps separate them from the background layer a little bit as well. So between those things, we will get, I think, a functional set of balloons. All right, now I'm obviously going to have to overlap a color up here. I'm also kind of thinking I'm going to need at least one in the middle to hide the shadow layer. So I think I'll leave that one flat. And this one does not have any gradient to it, so it's just going to go down there. This is always the hard part of lives, where you just have to watch me pick off the liners from my tape. Okay, I definitely want at least one of each color popped up. So let's get this one on here. And if I can overlap it a little bit, I'm gonna try that. Okay, that's not too bad. I think I'll leave it at that. I am going to grab a pen, and I'm trying to remember if this pen writes on vellum. If I knew where I threw, here we go. Let's do a little test and see. Okay, this pen will work on the vellum. Different vellums are a little bit different. Some have slicker surfaces, which makes it harder to write on, but let's just fake these balloon strings, huh? And this will make it look a little less awkward, and we can even draw a little bow. Give it a little bow. A little bow. Okay, I think that will work. Oh, you can't quite see it. There we go. Some balloon strings, some little bows, and we have made that weird die into something that works. Okay. So the other thing about doing these lives is that I usually end up with fairly simple layouts because I'm having to work with who knows what, and I don't want to think too hard about that. So I do tend to keep the embellishing on the simpler side. So I'm going to get that on there. That on here. Let's see. You know, I do think maybe I want to pop this one up because it does have the bottle, and I want to have a little bit of focus on the bottle. Oh, Sarah has to go. Well, thank you for stopping in. Yes, I will take a picture of the finished layout and I post it in the community tab here on YouTube, and then I try to post it in other places, Instagram and my blog and the other places. So the finished project will be out there in the world somewhere. I won the balloon challenge. Yes. That's my goal in life. Winning the balloon challenge. Okay, do I really want to pop this up? I'm going to put these on and see if I like it. Hopefully my cat isn't making too much noise. It is just about dinner time for them, and they love to start bugging me at this time of day. Oh, I did already glue that one down. Okay, I wanted it to shift a little bit, but it's too late. So we're gonna go with that. Okay, I think that'll be okay. I can glue this one down. Just thinking about how things are overlapping and if there's any awkward gaps. I think I'll just go for that. And I'm not going to put this one on yet because I want to grab that stencil again and see if I can go ahead and get my lines on from my journaling before everything gets too bulky. And this is my favorite journaling stamp, and I've had it forever and ever, and I have no idea where it came from at this point, and I've cut it apart so I can use it in different sections, and it is very old and loved and stained. So you don't always need the latest and greatest tool on the market. Those are fun, but sometimes just the tried and true can be good. Okay, this is where I do want tape because I do not want this thing to shift on me at all. And I want to make sure that my stamp does not stamp through unintended portions. It probably won't because the thickness of the stencil often prevents the stamps from reaching all the way to the paper. So we'll probably have a little rustic border even around where the edge of the heart is. And that's okay. I just want to make sure that I don't get weird marks off in the other open areas. So more tape. More tape. How are we doing on time? We're almost to the top of the hour, so I don't know how much other embellishing I will do on this layout. I do need to get a title of some sort on there. So that is something to think about. More tape, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, and there's some plastic from the packaging, and this tape did not quite cover all the open gaps. All right, tear the tape and make it work. There we go, that's better. Okay, I'm gonna try and keep my lines parallel to the paper. I'm gonna leave a little gap at the top to start my writing. And I am using the VersaFine pigment ink, and I find this to be super crisp, and it works very nicely. Oh, see, I said it works very nicely, and then I got a hole. As I was saying, it works very nicely through stencils. But see, that's what happens when you have the thickness of the stencil material lifts the stamp up, so it can be harder to stamp in between. So I'm probably going to make a mess of lining this up, but I'm going to try. And then make sure I'm pushing in that open area a little bit harder to try and get it in there. Let's see. Better? Better. It is a little bit blurry from the lines, but that's okay. Once I actually write on there, you won't notice that as much. All right, and then I'm gonna get, oh, I gotta move my tape, almost forgot. Doesn't want to come up, and my fingernails are in bad shape right now, so I can't easily reach that tape. I want to try and avoid getting the tape on my photos because tape sticky does not play nicely with photo paper, and I want to try not to smudge that because it's not going to be dry on top of the plastic material of the stencil, so there's lots of pitfalls here. Okay, I'm going to try and really get that into the open areas. There, that was a much better better go at it. And then I have to try and keep my lines going across. Pardon my head, but otherwise I can't see. Okay, press down nice and hard. All right, this is doing okay. It's not perfect, but I'm okay with that. I am looking for something else to cover way over here because I know my stamp is going to go off. You know what? I can just move this tape because I'm already done with that portion down there. But as I said, I don't want to get sticky on the photo, so I think I'm going to do that. And I just need a little section to fill in that heart. So this tape can come down a little bit. Okay, I think I'm going to try and not press this side down because there are still some little gaps there. Okay, that's all right. I'm going to go with that. So if I can take this stencil back off, and I will clean that later. And I managed not to stick my side of my hand into the wet ink on the stencil, which is something I do all the time. Okay, messy stuff out of the way, out of the way. Okay, now we do need a title. And then I think I will add some more foam, and I'm going to have my balloons. This is up on foam, so wherever it overlaps, I don't want to double up on the foam. So I'm going to kind of be aware of that position. My fingers have a little bit of ink on them. And I have lost my towel in the piles. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? Wipe my fingers on my pants because I wear comfy pants while I'm filming. I don't have to worry about them being nice. I can use them to clean my fingers. All right, let's get this photo on there. What do I want my title to say is a good question. Like celebration, maybe celebration foods, because that's what I'm going to talk about, but that is a lot of letters. I think I'm going to want to get some enamel dots at least to do a little bit more decorating. And these are blending in just a little bit more than I thought they would. But it's what we've got, so we're going to go with it. I need a couple more foam dots on there. I'm going to cut these ones so that I can get a little bit closer to the zone where it's going to overlap the photo. Okay, alphabets. I have this set of alphabets on my desk that are super fun because they have an outline and then an inner line, and I have saved all of the letters from doing projects, and I keep wanting to reuse the leftovers and I keep failing at finding the letters I need. But I tell you, aren't they fun? And some of these colors are kind of nice, so see if I can find letters that might work and do a mix and match. And we had over at Scrap Happy, which I am now the new organizer of, we had International Scrapbook Day challenges, and one of them was to use a ransom style title. And when you've got leftover letters like this, that's kind of what we're talking about here. So I'm going to go, these are going to bring in more colors than I intended, but let's see if we can make it work. And I might need to go ahead and finish the title off screen, but I'll give you the idea of what I'm going to do here. I'm looking for an L and I'm not seeing any L, so this just might not work at all. So I'm going to skip the L. So don't know if I have any B's in this pile. So I might need to skip the B as well. So but we need the R, the R, and then an A. I thought I saw A's in here. Oh, here's an A and a light pink. A and then a T and then another E. Here's a T. I don't know that I like that color. What I might do, I think I will, and I think I'll do that before we go. And then I need another E, is I'm going to add more of my neutral ink behind where the title's going to be to help fade that background a little bit so that my title can stand out on top of this odd lettering that I'm doing. Okay, and I found enough letters to get the point across. So let me grab okay, I'm going to use a smaller blending brush because I really want to concentrate that ink just underneath where the title letters will fit so that I can get the title to stand out a little bit more. And again, I want, this one was a very brown ink, the last color I used. I'm going to try and get most of that dark ink off of there before I switch over to this lighter shade of neutral. Oh, you have this alphabet set, Alice? It's a Concord and Ninth, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I love getting the mix and match of the inner and the outer and using them together, mixing matching colors. So yeah, I really like it. Okay, let's see if I can do this freestyle without worrying about it too much. I want to leave the outline of my heart nice and white so that that heart still reads well. All right, I think this is working. It is a little bit messy at this point, but again, it will dry back and fade back a little bit, but it'll be enough of a mask to those bold colors that all of my new bold colors are going to be able to stand up against the background. That is one of, like I said, I don't like throwing things away, so I often will put alphas on my layouts that aren't maybe the best fit readability wise because they blend in too much with the background, but I refuse to throw them away. So I use them so that I don't lose them. And yeah, that may not be your choice, which I would totally understand, but that's kind of how I get stuck in my own head sometimes, is that I want to use things up even if the choice is not the most pretty. Okay. Just trying to blend this out a little bit so it looks less blobby. Just using the leftover ink. Try and fade it out. And I may go ahead and do a little bit more of this off camera as well, because at least doing that, you kind of get the idea of what we're reaching for. And so now my letter C is going to show up way better on the background than it did before. So I've got C, E, L, E, B, R, A, T-E. So that says celebrate. Oh, you know what? I haven't gotten my other mystery ingredient on here. So can I say celebrate something? Celebrate favorite, celebrate, you the best, celebrate. This wasn't, these are a lot of Mother's Day sentiments, but it wasn't really celebrate all those years. Ooh, I like that. Celebrate all those years. Because this is a story about how we do fancy foods for celebratory occasions. So I gotta figure out how to cut this off. Celebrate all those years. I like to use my trimmer whenever possible because I cannot cut straight no matter what. So even doing this cut is probably going to be crooked. You think with a nice straight pair of scissors you'd be able to get it straight, but I have a dysfunction with straight lines. Celebrate all those years. So I will get those pieces to line up and overlap so that this creates one title. And then I'm going to want to add something over here to balance off that. And because I've got this foil on the layout in one place, I want to add it to the layout in a couple of other places. Now, feeling a little challenged about how that might work out. Great having me. I thought I saw the word fun, having fun to cut things apart. Nope. Keeping, sorry. What's on this side? Maybe I will cut out the word mom because we do often do this for Mother's Day. So, okay, I'm going to switch over to the smaller trimmer. It's got a comma next to it, which is a little awkward, but I'm gonna make do. And then we can keep the best and add that onto another part of the embellishing. Just really picking and choosing just the parts that are going to work for me. And that is another good reason to go ahead and foil the whole thing, as long as I don't lose them when they go flying. Ooh, it might look really good with the balloons. Let's put that with the balloons. And it says the best. Giving happy. Here, let's use the word happy somewhere. And then we've got a good selection of shiny bits for embellishing. All right. Okay. I'm going to, again, toss everything off the edge. Okay. Where do I want to put these other words? Sometimes when I have words like this, I will build them into my journaling so that they fit as part of the words of the journaling. Do I want to do that today? I'm not so sure I do. Maybe if some of the letters are the wrong color, you can put a little adhesive on them and foil them to match. Yeah, that is a possibility. I do have the little quickie glue pen is great for doing that. So I could cover up my little funky comma there if I wanted to do that. And then I have the word happy and I'm not sure where I want that to go. So, celebrate. Maybe I will build this one into... Okay, I think I'm going to use those somehow. Yeah, I like that. You know what? What else can we do with these pieces? I was thinking there's some little spaces here that we could maybe punch out some stars and not use it anywhere near what it was intended for. Or better yet, how about some hearts? Because we already have a heart motif on here. Let's go ahead and duplicate that and use our rule of repetition on the rest of our layout. So I can get some little tiny hearts out of areas that aren't necessarily text. And then this might be an embellishment instead of grabbing some enamel dots, although I might want to do both. Okay, there we go. I think I am liking this plan, being able to spread that shine out over a larger zone of the layout, especially highlighting certain areas of the photo that I want to draw attention to, like the bottle and the actual pouring bowl of the sparkly syrup. So that is what I needed. That definitely makes me feel better about where we're going with these embellishments. So I'm going to go ahead and get those on. Couple of them on. I will do the rest of them off, and then I will give you a little bit of a closer look at the layout and how these pieces are coming together. Don't want this to be too awkward next to my thumb, so I will put that up a little bit. And just some quick glue. Let's get our, oh, I realized I haven't attached this yet, so let's attach this. Okay, how do I want this to overlap? Okay, because I have the bowl here, I don't necessarily need to show the bowl as much up there, so I can overlap that a little bit. And then get the vest on there. All right, I think that is gonna do it for today. So if you can imagine my missing letters finishing off my title, I will probably pop this up on foam dots or on the foam squares so that it sits with the rest of my title in a nice way, and then I will incorporate these two pieces into my journaling. Make sure I leave room for those as I go. So I think that is going to be the end of the layout for today, and I'm liking how it came out. I think maybe I will grab some of those enamel dots after all, because I feel like it needs definitely a little something at the start of the title, and then maybe to fill out these areas just a little bit more. So I will take pictures once this is all journaled and has a few more embellishments on there, and post those up in all of the places, and that will wrap that up. So let me come back over here. So thank you so much for being with me. I know Alice was here the whole time. That was really fun to have you hang out and leave some comments and some suggestions there, so that was nice, and I'm glad you had fun. Good. Let's see, I don't have any more lives planned for this month, but I'm hoping to get 1 or 2 pre-recorded videos out before the end of May, because I have taken over the leadership over at Scrap Happy. That is a big avalanche of tech learning happening on my plate right now, so I will do my best to get out some more good crafty videos here for you so that I don't leave you hanging. But if you're watching this on replay, thanks for watching along. Go ahead and drop me a comment because I always love to hear what you guys are thinking, and I always respond to every comment. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely, artful rest of your day.